Hello.
Hello there. You're already live.
All right, then that tells me what kind of jokes are acceptable.
You're right. It'll just be the three of us tonight. Be a good show.
Yeah.
Start posting on. This was good. It makes it easier to line up social media publishing. So much quicker.
Yep. Something has mute turned off.
Did the important ones. God, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, apparently stuff has been happening.
Jeez. It's beta 3. There is Ben. I'm really liking this light.
That's a really nice light.
I see there's no more light shadow on my picture behind me.
Right.
See? Just a little. Not much though.
Yeah, but your head blocks it.
Yeah. Speaking of head blocking. How's it going, Ben?
Pretty good.
Good. I just was saying, just crap loads to talk about here today.
Oh yeah. As typical, there are a bunch of announcements made like today.
Yeah. All right. All right. I'm ready. You guys want to start a little early?
Okay.
Let me grab a sip of water.
Start.
Okay.
Let's do this other recording. One of these days, I want to try this AI companion from Zoom.
Yeah. You just be hearing, I can't do that, Dave.
That's right. I've not been impressed with the Audio Hijack's transcribe just yet.
I haven't played with it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I think I got to figure out how it has line breaks because you go to the text file, it's just a big blob of words.
Oh.
I'm sure I don't have it set right. That. Where's the chat show up in YouTube? Dag nabbit. Just gotta refresh it. There's the chat. All right. That and that and that. I'm ready. Recording. Just gotta record there. We're good.
Yeah, Jeff, that blue logo should be sharpied out and replaced with Logitech.
Yes, yet I am a rebel.
Oh, where it says, it says blue. You know what?
It's when Logitech bought blue, then this year
Right. Oh, that's right.
they finally retired the brand in favor of their own.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Maybe I'll get custom stickers.
Just get a Logitech label.
No way. I'm still pissed off at them about the whole Harmony thing.
Is it completely shut down now?
No.
No.
But who knows? It could be, or maybe
Anytime.
tomorrow, or maybe next year.
Could be. All right. Let's go ahead and do it. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to episode 280 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I got my usual suspects here today. Ben Rathick, great to see you. How you doing? Glad you're here.
I'm doing great, Dave. It's been an interesting day.
That's great. And Jeff Gammett's here as well. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing well, and I can't wait to hear about all the interesting things because it's been a busy and interesting day for me.
Yes, interesting in some things you've done today, as well as there's quite a bit of news to talk about, especially some breaking news that just happened today as we record this. But lots of news to look at. Beta, got a new version came out this week. We might even talk a little bit about something that they might be changing in iMessage. I'm going to tease that a little bit, as well as a couple other hot topics. But let's just dive right into the news. Last week, we really put our friend Chuck Joyner on the spot when we talked about OneDrive, because we know how much he loves Microsoft. So right during the show, as we recorded last week, talking about the fact that OneDrive was going to quiz you before letting you to quit OneDrive, Microsoft did a 360 and said, "Oh yeah, we were just testing this, and it unfortunately got released by mistake." And it's unfortunate that happened. But okay, Microsoft, sure, you just wanted to see what would happen. Once you put it out there that what people were going to say, and boy, did they say it, right, Ben?
Oh yeah. Hey, good job on using the same email template that T-Mobile did, Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's like you're reading my mind, Ben.
If anybody didn't recall from last week, Microsoft was supposedly changing OneDrive on a Mac or a Windows machine, for that matter, that when you would go to exit OneDrive, it would say, why are you exiting this? You shouldn't be exiting this. And then it would have a whole reason why, I don't want to use it, or whatever the problem is. And yeah, they got quite a big backlash. And I'm sure, Jeff, you feel the same way.
I do. It was ridiculous that they did this. And it's not surprising that they followed T-Mobile's lead and backtracked in the same way.
Yeah.
I don't think this was an accidental rollout, just like I don't think T-Mobile's forced price changes were an accidental rollout. And you know what? It's okay for a company to do something like this and then just totally own it and say, you know what? Sorry, that was a bad move. And so we rolled it back. Our bad. Let's just all move on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. we will move on, because I don't think it's worth any more time talking about OneDrive after that nonsense. Let's go ahead and talk about PlayStation a little bit. Apple Music is now going to be, on a PlayStation, they're going to offer 6 months of free Apple Music for PlayStation 5 owners as a part of an effort to promote Apple Music. Boy, Apple does a great job of doing that on almost every platform you can conceivably think of. Apple is offering PlayStation 5 owners up to 6 months of free access to Apple Music streaming service. PlayStation 5 owners will need to sign into the PlayStation Network, download the Apple Music app, follow the on-screen instructions, and yada yada yada. It is going to be only available on the PlayStation 5, so you can't get any of the older consoles, and then it's only new and qualifying returning subscribers could get the free access. So this is not a deal available to current subscribers. So not that you would need anyway, because you're already paying for it. And the deal is only it'll offer a deal up until actually next year, which is great. And then after the 6 months expires, the subscription can be continued for $10.99 a month. What do you think, Jeff? Is this something Apple really is just trying to just get more interest in Apple Music, like they already need it, right?
Yeah, but this is a smart move. This is Apple taking a play from the Netflix playbook, one of the good plays, which is, if you want to have everyone on your platform, make sure your platform is available where those people are.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so giving PlayStation owners an incentive to do it, smart move.
Good move. Yep. What you think, Ben?
Yeah, I'm with Jeff here. They're giving PlayStation 5 owners something. People who can afford a PS5 these days obviously have a little bit of money, so,
or at least they did till they bought their PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is honestly Apple trying to do some conversion sales.
Yeah, seems it. And then going on to another trend here, this actually was just announced today as we record this. Apple Music Classical is now coming to the iPad. Well, hallelujah, it took this long. Apple Music Classic was updated in the App Store today, and it extends the service's availability to beyond iPhone and Android. It brings it to the iPads for the first time. And they did release this back in March of 2023, so it's and the Google Play Store as well. So version 1.1 of Apple's app is going to include interface specifically designed for the larger iPad display. Navigation sidebar and media play controls will be on the bottom of the screen. As we all know, in 2021, Apple announced that they had purchased the classical musical streaming service Primephonic, and they took like an absolute forever and a day to finally get this released. And I know, Jeff, you've not been happy the way they went about this whole thing, and it's not available on the Mac and all this stuff. At least this is a good direction now. We got it on the iPad, huh?
Yeah, this is a positive move. However, if you can release it on the iPad, why not just release it on the Mac at the same time? Because at that point, just let people install the iPad app and tell them it's the Mac app and call it good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because of course
it's a start.
You can't.
So, but is it available today on the iPad?
Yes,
I believe so. Yes.
Mm-hmm. See, that shows you how much I've been out of the loop. There it is. I'm installing the crap out of it on my iPad right now.
Yep, it is available today as we record here. So, what's your thoughts, Ben?
I'm thinking in another 8 months I'll be able to use it on my Mac.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's when I'll actually start really using it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it seems like a decent service, but this rollout has been an unneeded disaster.
Yeah,
it's been very disappointing.
Yeah, literally the Apple platform most usable with lossless is still missing from Apple Music Classic or Classical.
Yep. Lame.
Yep. Very lame. Then the next story here is Qi 2 wireless charging is coming soon. The first wireless chargers that support the new Qi 2 charging standard are set to launch in time for the holiday season. This was an announcement by the Wireless Power Consortium, WPC. Announced this week as we record. This is the next generation of Qi charging that incorporates magnetic power profiles. Qi 2 devices will work like Apple's MagSafe feature, using magnets for alignment and the speedier charging. The iPhone 15 models are the first Apple smartphones that will support the actual Qi 2 standard. More than 100 Qi 2 devices are in testing, according to the consortium, including chargers from companies like Belkin, Mophie, Anker, AirCharge, the usual suspects. And the magnetic power profile was designed based on MagSafe contributions from Apple, and this has been combined with the new extended power profile to form what's considered Qi 2. Ben, you've had some good insights on the Qi 2 charging standard. You think this is exciting that this is finally coming out?
I think it's very exciting that it's coming out. That said, we're not entirely sure what Qi 2 exactly is yet and how it'll work with any iPhones. I mean, chiefly the iPhone 15.
Yeah.
I mean, is it essentially MagSafe by different name? Is it slightly different? Will the iPhone 15 work at full 15 watts of power on it? Right now, we don't have any answers to those questions.
Right. What's your thoughts, Jeff?
I think it's interesting how Apple has really been leaning into driving standards over the past several years. And this is just another example of that. I'm with Ben. I want to know more about what the final standard is going to include. But it's kind of cool to see stuff getting ready to roll out.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm glad to see this. So, Next story here. Google will begin deleting millions of inactive Gmail and Drive accounts next month in December as we record. The start of the great account purge is only a few weeks away here. This was the hot potato. Google had actually introduced a new policy for inactive accounts earlier this year in 2023 that enhanced the security of dormant, unused accounts that are slated for deletion. And then it will begin its enforcement on December 1st, 2023. Google hasn't issued initial warnings related to inactive accounts. Those untouched for at least 2 years in 3 weeks will be gone into that per their policy. I don't think this is a bad thing at all. And they go through a lot of other details of what is going to happen. But Jeff, I think this was a long time coming. There's a lot of dormant Google accounts, and we're probably the ones that have done that too. We've created accounts and just wanted to test and do things and use them, and you forget about them, and they're still sitting and they're out there dormant, right, Jeff?
Yep, and it's not just the Gmail accounts that are getting this. I found out when I got the email from Google that I have a Blogger account that I set up.
Yeah, I think
and it's part of this too. And my first thought was, well, that's clever timing for sending out a phishing email. So I went and actually checked, and it turns out, no, I set up a Blogger account in 2005 to do some demo stuff for a user group, and then never touched it again. So yeah, anyhow. So what I'm saying is the big news is I had set up a Blogger account. Who knew?
Yep. You have a Blogger account, Glenn. You're active using it, right?
Correct. But I think that tech is built on Blogger.
Yeah.
I'm cheap.
Hey, why not? No sense if it works for you. Because that platform's been around like forever. So you don't have to worry about them deleting your account.
No.
And I'm not too worried about my Blogger account.
Yeah. So the next story here, iPhone 14 users are going to continue to get free emergency SOS via satellite for another year. Apple announced this today. Again, well, all these stories coming out this week as we record here. The emergency SOS via satellite service is being extended for another additional free year for existing iPhone 14 users. Apple originally gave the new iPhone 14 owners 2 years of free after the device activation, which would have expired in November of 2024. As we know, now SOS, emergency SOS via satellite is going to now be free for 2 more years starting this week as time of activation of any iPhone 14 model. And Apple says the free trial will be extended for iPhone 14 users who have activated their device in any country that supports it. This is good to see. We've had so many stories about how it saves so many lives around the world. It gives many examples of where people have gotten really stranded in rural areas with no cell service at all. It's really come in handy. So I think this is a smart thing. Of course, iPhone 15 users don't have to worry because that already came with it for 2 years. So, but who knows, right, Jeff? As far as what Apple's going to do in the next 2 years, are they start charging for it or not? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they do.
Here's my hypothesis, my prediction. When we get close to the end of the iPhone 15 cycle for the free coverage, by that point, Apple will have announced that it's just free. It's just part of the service of owning an iPhone.
Yeah,
I think that they will not ultimately charge people for this service.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. What do you think, Ben?
Actually, I was going to go in the opposite direction and say they're pretty much on the Apple TV Plus trajectory here. It's free long enough where you start to think of it as something that you can't be without. Then they charge.
I can see that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe as part of Apple One, though.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, okay, I could see that too. Ben, the reason I think ultimately this is going to be a non-charged thing, or potentially rolled into Apple One, is because this is one of those features where it would feel sort of like if Apple started charging you for fall detection.
Don't
And
give them ideas.
right, but the optics of that would be really bad. And can you imagine the coverage, the news coverage of someone who hadn't paid for SOS getting stranded in the mountains and freezing to death in a blizzard because they couldn't get a message out?
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Anyhow, I'm
And
looking forward to seeing what does happen with this.
and what I'm actually going to bring up too is this was a story actually that occurred in the Chicago area of where I live. There was a family that is suing Volkswagen because their car got the lady's car got hijacked and she was injured, and their toddler was sitting in the back seat of the car, and they did steal the car, and Volkswagen refused to activate the emergency services because she hadn't paid for it. So what happened was, the police asked them to activate it, and says it was $150 fee to activate the satellite service so they can track where the car is. Well, thank God that the police, after 40 minutes, ended up finding the car, and the baby was unharmed. But here's a prime example why something like this, Apple may just consider, like you just said, allowing this to be a free
That is
service.
horrible. And Volkswagen, this is
Yeah.
Volkswagen over the past several years has had so much bad press for doing just the wrong thing.
Dumb things.
And stupid wrong things. And this was a stupid wrong thing. They should have just flipped the switch right then, and they could have been the hero.
Yeah. But instead, they made everybody remember Dieselgate.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
I can
and-
see
yeah.
Volkswagen's logic, which is crappy logic. Well, if people don't pay for this and they just ask the police to turn it on in a specific emergency, no one will ever pay for it. Okay, Volkswagen, that should tell you something. Maybe you shouldn't charge for this.
$150.
Yeah.
That's all they wanted, and they were insisting on it because sorry, that's our policy. Your free trial expired. Meanwhile,
Sorry
the woman
about
is
your lost baby.
Mhm.
and the woman was 24 weeks pregnant on top of it for their second
Mhm.
child. So yeah, it's just as a prime example. I that reason I bring this up was because of emergency SOS, and this could be something Apple could seriously consider, that making just an included service. I mean, for the value of what an iPhone is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and next story here is I had talked about the Apple Pencil USB-C that promptly got returned. I already got my credit back because it's just a horrible pencil for what they want for it. But they didn't release a firmware update for it. That it came out this last week. There's no word, of course, what it fixes, what it updates, or what's included in the firmware, and they didn't provide any release notes on it. It's almost identical in design as the Apple Pencil 2, but it's a little shorter, and the hidden USB-C port for charging and pairing. And like I said, why it went back is because you can't charge it with the iPad. You have to plug it in with a cord. I guess, and I think about it, the first gen Apple Pencil was even worse, sticking your Lightning connector on the bottom of an iPad to charge it. So, so they kind of kept it along those lines. But there is some firmware up there, a firmware upgrade up there for it. So if anybody has this pencil, you'll be getting it soon. So not much else we could say about that other than okay.
Too bad it can't update the poor build quality.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah, that's surprisingly disappointing.
Yeah, sure it is. Last story this week in the news here, TikTok has now launched support for adding songs to the Apple Music library. It's this week again. Busy week with things going on. They launched a new Add to Music app feature with support with Apple Music, Spotify, and Amazon Music. The feature allows users to directly save songs that they find on TikTok and to their preferred music streaming service library via an add song button located beside the track name and at the bottom of the TikTok video. The users can then use the add to music app feature from an artist's sound detail page. The first time the user presses the button, they'll be asked to choose what the preferred music was and the streaming service. So looks this another reason where, especially the fact that how insanely popular TikTok is. I don't think if you guys spend as much time on TikTok as many other people I know. But this is good because you've got millions and millions of eyeballs listening to music, and now this is curating music that you like right into your Apple Music library. What do you think, Jeff?
Super smart. And any music service that didn't get on board with this would be stupid. So, of course, all the services that that people are using in mainstream are on board.
Yep. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, smart move. This is definitely this isn't aimed towards us. This is aimed towards Generation Z.
Agreed. All right. Yeah. So that's most of the news for this week. We'll have plenty more to talk about here shortly, but let's jump right in to talk about the new beta. Beta 3 of iOS 17.2 and iPad OS 17.2 is released to developers, and the public beta is out as well. The biggest feature, as we've been talking about, is the Journal app. Have you guys spelled? So I don't think you have, Jeff, because you don't put it on an iPhone. But have you spent any more time with the Journal app, Ben?
Nope.
So it doesn't seem to interest you much.
Go.
Yeah, doesn't seem to interest you much, obviously. So I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about it, which is fun. Is kind of interesting.
Well, I think we will hear people talk about it after the general release is out.
That's
and true. I think what we'll see is that there will be people that start figuring out really interesting things you can do with the Journal app and shortcuts, and then it will start to become a compelling tool for people.
Yeah, that is true. It definitely is going to be interesting to see where it goes. Beyond that, I'm assuming it's been pretty solid for you, Ben. There's been really any major bugs.
No, it's been really solid.
Yeah, so I would venture to say it's probably going to get released sooner than later. With the Apple Watch, the Watch OS 10.2 is out for developers. Then that's for testing. It's been a week since the previous version, and again, there's not much change in that. Watch OS 10.2 does add support for iMessage contact key verification, a feature designed for those who face extraordinarily digital threats, such as journalists, human rights activists, and government officials. And users can ensure that there is no man-in-the-middle snooping on iMessage conversations. And there's a contact verification code so the iMessage users can verify that they're speaking to the correct individual during in-person meetings on FaceTime calls. So interesting stuff that they're adding to the Apple Watch. And then tvOS also got an update. As always, nothing really exciting going on with that. That I found. It's
when is the new interface rolling out for tvOS?
Yeah, good question.
I lost track of that. No, yeah. the one where it has the whole sidebar thing.
Yeah, that's 10.2. Oh, so it's in beta now.
In 17.2, you mean?
Okay, so so it's the beta still. Okay.
You're right. I think I'm running beta on one of my Apple TVs, and I seem to remember that is there.
It is so much nicer.
Yeah, the sidebar. Yeah, it says it here in the article here. So
okay, it's hard to keep track of all these.
Oh, I know. Especially when we know Apple TV doesn't get a lot of love most of the time during beta.
Right.
Usually. One thing we did talk about last week, it was the fact that the spatial audio, the spatial videos for the iPhone 15 Pro that were going to be used for VR headsets. Apple did add this feature to allow iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max users to record spatial video that is designed for the upcoming Apple Vision Pro headset. As Vision Pro is not available yet, there's no way to watch those videos in its 3D form on an Apple device. The spatial video content can, however, be watched on the Meta Quest 3 and other 3D devices thanks to a workaround that a YouTuber found earlier this week. And we got a link in the show notes with this and how to manipulate the video to get it to run on a Meta VR headset. And of course, the iPhone 15 Pro has to be running iOS 15.17.2. It's required to be able to even record those videos. Interesting that somehow this workaround was found. I have this feeling that door is gonna close pretty quick once Apple's already found out of it. Obviously, I don't think they want that being used on their competing device. Do you think?
No.
Especially when a YouTuber finds it. So nothing. I haven't seen anything yet, but this was just posted yesterday as we record this. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Got a long way to go yet with the Vision Pro. We're not sure. They said early 2024, so it's going to definitely be interesting. So, all right, let's move to the biggest topic of today. This actually was announced today as we record this. Hell has frozen over. Apple has announced
won the series.
Yeah, well, they did win. Yeah, that happened now 7 years ago. But Apple has announced that RCS support is coming to the iPhone next year in a hugely surprising move. Apple has announced that today, as we record this, that it adopted the RCS Rich Communication Services message standard. The feature will be launched via a software update, quote unquote, later this year, and brings a wide range of iMessage style features to messaging between the iPhone and the Android users. Apple's decision comes amid pressure from regulators and competitors like Google and Samsung, if at all, who also comes as RCS has continued to develop to become a more mature platform than it once was. It's going to give us, this was an actual statement that was given to, this is 9 to 5 Mac. Apple spokesperson said that the company believes RCS will offer better interoperability for cross-platform messages. And I'm quoting the Apple rep here. It says later next year, we will be adding support for RCS Universal Profile. The standard is currently published by the GSM Association. We believe RCS Universal Profile will offer a better interoperability experience when compared to SMS or MMS. And this will work alongside iMessage, which will continue to be the best and most secure messaging experience for Apple users. This is big. This is just an absolute interesting thing because you go back to 2022 when Tim Cook was asked at that time about RCS, because everybody's been asking, come on, Tim, when is Apple going to adopt this? And then Cook said at the time that Apple hadn't heard from many users asking us to put a lot of energy into bringing RCS support to the iPhone. Buy your mom an iPhone, Cook says, when they asked about the lackluster SMS support experience. I remember that. I was just absolutely cracking up when that happened. So, Jeff, I want to hear your first thoughts and comments on this. It's about time. I'm shocked. Again, it sounds like it's probably not going to be till mid to late 2024 anyway, but at least
iOS 18.
That's something to look forward to. Mm-hmm. I bet that's what it'll be. Yeah.
And yes, this is a better option compared to SMS, MMS.
Right.
And what Apple's telling everyone is them taking control of the narrative. I firmly believe Apple is announcing RCS adoption now so that they are ahead of regulators and they get to control how this happens and hopefully avoid having to deal with regulators saying how they have to implement this. So adding it in as a side thing for the people that are going to use it, say with Android users, great. But iMessage is still going to be the default, and they are right. iMessage is ultimately more secure than RCS, but at least come next year, you'll have the opportunity to have more secure messaging with Android users than you currently have if you're working inside the Messages app.
Yeah, absolutely. And fun. And before I get you, Ben, funny how there was an article a week ago that I had not talked about last week, but Google had wanted the EU regulators to actually force Apple to open up iMessage. And they said that this messaging platform could fall under the Digital Markets Act regulation in the EU. And all these vendors, all these companies, Google, Meta, and other message service operators, have been fighting to get Apple to convince Apple to open it up. So
It's so
maybe
weird to me.
yeah, maybe
Because outside the
Apple was not
US,
it.
people aren't using iMessage.
Right, because
It's
Android's a
WhatsApp.
dominant device. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm done. I'll stop ranting.
No, this is big. So go ahead, Ben. I'm going to bring you in on this. What was your initial thoughts on this?
There are two very important words there: universal and profile.
Yep.
The version of RCS Apple will be using is essentially the carrier version. Android uses a customized version with Google's own end-to-end encryption and a couple other things. Well, Apple won't be using that. Essentially, this will be as a replacement to SMS or SMS and MMS. So if you're going to think it's going to be 100% compatible with the Google version, it's not.
Yeah, I can't imagine them doing it any other way. It just really is. It's big news, and I think we've always had people who don't care about it as much as your normal user. We always had the green bubble and the blue bubble. That was always the thing. Everybody says, "Oh, I can't communicate with my Android friends and family." You always mess up our string of messages. Now there isn't going to be that issue. Hopefully, once this comes out.
Ben, you bringing up the fact that Apple is going with the GSM standard version as opposed to the Google version. I'd forgotten about that. It totally makes sense though, because it makes sense, and not because Apple is trying to snub Google in this instance, but they don't want to be beholden to Google for features. And so of course they're going to go with just the straight standard and not have to wait for Google to grace them with access to their custom features.
Absolutely. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where this goes. Thought this was a good topic to talk about today, because it's exciting. It's going to be something that's really going to change things for the longest it's been with messaging between these platforms. So, all right, we can go ahead and move on. And other thing I want to talk about here, this was an interesting observation, as well as charts here about the new devices. The iPhone 15 models are now equipped with Qualcomm's X70 modem chip that had promises of faster 5G speeds over the X65 and prior generation Apple or iPhone 14 models. And testing was done by Ookla, and they went through all these different models of smartphones, and the top phones were the iPhone 15 series of phones that were much faster and medium download speeds, anywhere from 285 megabits all the way up down to 249, and that was on the top four. And then you started looking at some of the other phones, where you got the Samsung Z Flip, and then you had the 14 Pro. Yeah, the speeds start to drop a little bit, but you could see what a dramatic increase in speeds with the 15 versus the older 14s, and even the 14 and the 14 Plus. The download speeds are much dramatically slower than a 15 here. And what they were using, they were collecting it online through their speed test app. That's their site that a lot of us use to check speeds. They determined that they did about 54% faster speeds and downloads than the 14 models. So comparing all this is it's interesting. It's interesting to see that 5G has improved that much over one model generation that this does this. What do you think about this, Ben?
Um, Qualcomm does a phenomenal job with their 5G modems, especially the X70 here. Um, quite frankly, despite Apple having their own modem division, I wonder if Qualcomm has too big of a lead right now.
It's possible. They're looking to change their technology even further. So, I mean, who's competing with them?
Right now, nobody, effectively.
Yep. What do you think,
Yeah.
Jeff?
Ben, I believe you're right. No one is effectively competing with Qualcomm right now. The other part of what you said, do they have too much of a lead? And I'd say today, yeah, they do. That's why there's no one really competing with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to count Apple out of the race because look at what they have done with their other processors. And I mean, they have created world-class, leading-edge technology. So maybe they can catch up with Qualcomm. I don't know. I like the idea, regardless of some real competition for what Qualcomm is doing. I'm betting we lost Dave's audio.
Yeah, my AirPods keep cracking it out. Go ahead.
Anyhow, no, it's your turn, Dave.
Okay. You've got any other thoughts on that? Otherwise, we can move on here. Thank you.
Yeah, we can move on.
Apple announced the 2023 App Store Award finalists. They shared the list of all their standout applications. Always fun taking a look at this every year. The iPhone App of the Year finalists was AllTrails, Duolingo, and Flightly. Seems like Duolingo ends up on their top list every year. Am I crazy?
No, it's really good.
Yeah. For those looking for translation for language lessons, this one has Spanish, French, and German. It's number 2 in education, in the education category on the App Store. Every year, it seems to always make the editor's choice. I don't think, and I think there's a free version of it, and then you can get in the app purchases too. Do you use this, Ben?
Not as much as I should. My Russian and Ukrainian are very poor. But I mean, the fact that they have successfully gamified language learning, to a degree that nobody else has, yeah, Duolingo deserves all the props that they're getting.
Have you used this app, Jeff?
No, but I really should. I have friends that even beyond Ben, I actually have friends. Oh wait,
Well,
no,
me.
the point is I have friends that are using Duolingo and really like it. And yeah, I should be doing this. If for nothing else, I should really learn Spanish because it is used heavily around where I am, and it would be really nice to be able to speak with people just on their terms.
Yep.
All right, I
Absolutely.
guess I need to download Duolingo.
There's another one that
Okay.
Go ahead.
Try this one, Jeff. Dos cervezas, por favor.
Now that one I can do because you never want just one.
This is true. The travel app Flighty is the live flight tracker app is probably one of the best of them out there as far as tracking your flight delays. It works across all the platforms, including iPhone, iPad, the Mac, as well as on the Apple Watch. And they have weather radar built in, so you can take a look at live weather, as the flights are going, and a lot of great stuff here. It does have some free services, but you do have to pay for a month to month up to an annual fee. The annual fee is up to $47.99. So I mean, if you travel a lot, this is definitely an app that's well worth the investment, because I hear a lot of good things about Flighty. I've downloaded it and played with it, just the free version, and I think it's pretty good.
If you fly a lot, you need an app like this.
Yeah.
I've been using Flight Update Pro for years and years.
Yep.
And it's been invaluable. And Flighty is an excellent app as well. So yeah, if you travel a lot.
And then the third one was All Trails. This is for those who are big into hiking, biking, and running. It's a GPS trail maps for all kinds of activities, and there's over 400,000 plus trails that it tracks, and does make it really easy to get around to where you're making sure you're staying on the right path and tracking your progress. And this one does have an in-app purchase. They have a plus up to it looks like they have a bunch of different in-app purchase plans that'll give you more advanced features. But 4.9 out of 5 for many people who've rated it, and there's over 838,000 different ratings for this app. So to have it that good, it obviously must be really good.
Yeah, it is that good.
And that's right. And Jeff, Ben, have you used it? I mean, because I know you do a lot of walking
yeah,
and hiking.
yeah. I've used All Trails for years now. It's if you like hiking or that kind of stuff, any kind of outdoors, this is an absolute must-have app.
Okay, good.
I agree.
Speaking of must-have apps here, the iPad app of the year, the first one is DaVinci Resolve. That is an amazing photo editing and video editing video editing tool. Excuse me, and it's very popular, and it's free, which is great. You definitely don't have to pay for that. They do have a studio version, but most people shouldn't have to pay for it. I mean, it's available on the Mac as well as on the iPad. They just added it to the iPad, I believe it was this year, so it's pretty new. That's from Blackmagic Design.
Yeah, and quite frankly, my advice: use the free one. It's incredibly robust. If you find yourself needing extra features, well, adding the paid version is probably just the cost of business.
Right. Oh, now, Jeff, I know you use. Go ahead. Sorry.
But I think you're probably gonna be fine with the free version.
Yeah, I don't see that too many people have been paying for the paid version on DaVinci. I mean, Jeff, I know you use LumaFusion, so have you compared these two to see if any compelling reason you would use it?
It's really good. That's a compelling reason to use it.
Yeah.
I'm already completely invested in LumaFusion, and I've gone through my learning curve, and there's no reason for me to switch. However, if I were choosing today, I would probably end up with DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah.
The price point's very compelling too, but you get so much in the free version.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Plus, it's pretty much pan-platform at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. The other app here, I have this feeling you might have tried this before, Jeff, is Concepts. It's a sketch, note, and drawing app.
Oh, I forgot about Concepts.
Yeah, it looks like a really cool app here that gives you all kinds of plans to create concepts and vector-based sketchbook. You can take your ideas from concept to reality. Very highly rated. It's free with in-app purchases as well. Sounds like you haven't used it in quite a while. If you tried it once, right, Jeff?
I did, and it's really cool. And I'm not using it because it's not the right app for me.
Right.
Which is not to say there's anything wrong with this at all. It's just for the types of drawings that I'm doing. Concepts isn't the tool that I need, but it's a really good app.
Absolutely. What about you, Ben? Have you tried this?
I have not. I have absolutely zero artistic ability.
Yeah. I'm about right up there
Well,
with you.
Ben, this is an app that might help you some, because you can take elements and put them together, but um, if you're not into drawing or designing things that look drawn,
Mhm.
then you probably wouldn't get any value out of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I screw up on stick figures.
I'm saying this genuinely and with all honesty. I am looking forward to seeing what you draw at some point. And I swear there's no dig in that at all. And when I see your art, I'm not going to be making fun of you. I am genuinely looking forward to seeing your art.
There you go. There you go. So let's talk a little bit about experience going into the Apple Store. Jeff, you texted this to me, and I thought this would be a great topic to talk about because we're always asked where's the best place to buy an Apple product, and especially the iPhone. And you can go to your carrier, whether it be AT&T or T-Mobile or Verizon or any whatever your other carriers that you actually go to the stores, or you can use a vendor like Mint Mobile, where you don't have to go to a store and just get it set up and just get your phone. But Jeff, you said you had an experience where you went to a carrier's store, and then it was not a good experience, and then you ended up at the Apple Store, and then your family member was very happy with their result at the Apple Store, right?
Yeah, yes, and this story is so fresh that I am home from it only a couple hours ago. All right, so what happened was my mom was ready to upgrade from her iPhone 7 to a new iPhone. And my parents, they're on T-Mobile, so they wanted to go to the T-Mobile store, but they wanted me to go with them because they wanted me there for more and technical support. And of course, I'm going with my parents to the Apple store or whatever store if they ask me for help, of course. So we get in the store, and it started off fine. Um, we picked out the phone mom wanted, and then that's when it all started to fall apart, because then it was all right. So here's what the phone will cost, and there's the $35 fee for taking you from the phone you're on to the phone you're going to have, even though it's the same phone number and same account, and all these things just kept adding up, and then finally, um, we're at the point where my parents are ready to throw down their credit card, and I don't even remember the question my dad asked, and I wish I could, because he asked the question and the guy didn't give him a satisfactory answer. And I looked at my parents and they looked at me, and before I had even said let's go, they were already turning and walking out. And the guy, he had tried to convince us that going to the Apple store is a bad idea. They can't really help you get ported from your old phone to your new phone, and you have to wait too long, and it costs more. Anyhow, so we hop in the car, we drive over to the Apple store, and walked in, and immediately someone was helping us. And not only were they able to help us, it ended up costing less, because the $35 fee you don't get charged at the Apple store, and T-Mobile has a thing going where you get a $30 discount when you're paying for your phone up front. It was some carrier kickback. So they saved $35. Then they saved an extra $30 from that. And and mom traded in her old iPhone, and they were going to do that at the T-Mobile store, but it was going to be a much more involved process. So it's an iPhone 7, and they gave her $40 for an iPhone 7.
Better nothing.
Yeah, so that was an extra $40 off right there. Then my mom wanted a screen protector. Apple sells screen protectors that come with a warranty. So if the screen protector gets broken, you go back to the Apple store and they put a new one on for you. And so they took care of putting that on. My mom had found a case at the T-Mobile store that she really liked, so they went ahead and bought that. Nope, they screwed that up, sold her the wrong case, and unfortunately, I didn't catch that at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much going on, and that was the one thing I missed. So she ends up with a case she can't use, finds a case she preferred anyhow at the Apple store. So took care of that. They took care of the whole process of moving her to the new phone. Just absolutely smooth experience, and walked her through the whole let's migrate all of your settings and data and everything, and made sure it was working correctly before we left the store. And it cost less than going to the T-Mobile store. Everyone was nicer. There was no the person that we were dealing with at the T-Mobile store, they weren't directly condescending, but there were moments where it sure felt like it. And there was none of that at the Apple store. And so when we were done, instead of leaving with that kind of tense feeling that my parents had at the T-Mobile store, they left relaxed and happy. And my mom was very excited to have her brand new green iPhone 15,
nice,
with her clear case that has a metallic green MagSafe ring on the back, and she was just smiling and happy. And based on the way our experience started at the T-Mobile store, had we done the whole purchase and process there, we would have left probably emotionally exhausted, all of us. And I am certain the process of getting her all of her data and settings from her old iPhone to her new iPhone would not have been completed.
They wouldn't have spent the time.
Yeah. And my dad, who's always been insistent on, no, we have to go to the carrier store to get new iPhones. As we left the Apple store, he said, I will never go into the T-Mobile store again.
Yeah. Was it a company store or was it like a third party store?
It was a T-Mobile company store.
It was. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Sometimes with carriers, you have these third party vendors that resell the service, but are allowed to use the branding like T-Mobile.
Yeah. And actually, that bites people. Like, let's say you have a T-Mobile phone that has a SIM card in it still,
right,
and your SIM card fails. If you go into an actual T-Mobile store, they replace the card. If you go to one of the third-party stores that appears like it's a T-Mobile store and they don't tell you it's not,
right, of course,
they will charge you for that SIM card.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. I can't tell people enough what an amazing experience is to be in the Apple store. Just overall, just that experience alone just kind of proves it. And I'm on the Apple upgrade program every year, so I generally don't go into the store, but I get the phone shipped to me, or I would go pick it up. And I always love to go there just to have to experience what employees are trained to do. They're trained to please the customer, and that's what. Every time I know all three of us have been in Apple stores and have had that experience. That it's just, well, how do you beat that? I mean, Apple has just done an amazing job in their retail stores to make sure that the customer is happy with the products that they purchase. And that's a good case in point, because the iPhone is probably the most time-consuming purchase of all the purchases you're probably ever going to make from Apple.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's a process, and
Yeah.
it's not just run in the store and run out with a new phone unless you're planning on doing everything on your own at home.
Yeah, which most people don't want to do that. The three of us, as being technologists and having the tech savviness to do it ourselves, we're generally okay with it. But sometimes I like to just kind of experience what Apple does, only because it's a pleasure to see, and it makes me even happier that I am into Apple's products, only because of that reason. Because you go buy a Samsung phone, good luck getting good support with that. I mean, people are out there who love Android over an iPhone. That's fine, but I don't see the experience of the support between the between two brands that is any good.
It was truly a really, really good customer experience.
I know it's harder for you, Ben, because you're not as close to the Apple Store as we are. But
after hearing that, especially with that $35 fee,
yeah,
it might actually be cheaper for us to drive to Madison.
Yeah, just to drive there to spend the time to a good road trip to go to the Apple Store to get that experience. I mean, I've purchased Macs. I purchased Macs at the Apple. You can sometimes get better deals at some of the retailers that are selling it, but I've always had a good experience with that. And you might find it interest when they have the sessions there. There's some training sessions and talking about some of the ways you can use your products, and you can't get that at T-Mobile store. All T-Mobile wants to do is get you in there, get them on, get you on the service and get you out the door. So it's good to hear that. And you told me that, I said, yeah, we got to talk about this again, because it's so important to get that good experience, I must say.
Yeah, it was a very good experience for my parents.
One last thing I wanted to talk about here. I thought this was interesting. Mac Rumors did this article talking about what's left that's still sold with a Lightning port, and I find it always. I think we all pretty much know off the top of our heads what products are still using the Lightning port. Apple still sells the older iPhones, so you have the SE and you have the iPhone 13 series and the 14 Plus, and then that's still available. So you have those still being used with Lightning. The 9th generation of the iPad, that's still with Lightning. The AirPods Max, which are really raw and getting old, but they came out a number of years ago now, use Lightning port to charge. And of course, we talked about the Apple Pencil, the 1st gen. I don't think as many people are using that. And you got the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID that still has that. And then our most favorite one is the Magic Mouse.
My God.
Still to this day, I don't understand why Apple thinks that that's a good concept by having the plug at the bottom of the mouse, and when it needs to be charged, you can't use it.
What it tells me is that Apple engineers are replicants, and they failed the Voight-Kampff test.
Yeah. And then you got the Magic Trackpad, which I use, and then there's a number of cables and adapters that are still out there that they're still selling that you can use to connect, like HDMI connectors and USB-C connectors and all that stuff.
AirPods 3.
Yeah. So you got so the numbers are starting to dwindle. I mean, you got as years go by here, I think that Lightning port will finally start to disappear, because a lot of people were disappointed when the Apple announcements came out and they still hadn't changed the peripherals with the keyboard and the mouse and the trackpad. It's still, you got to use a gosh darn Lightning port, right?
Yeah, new iMacs with keyboard and mouse that charge through Lightning.
Yeah, I think in that case, like just one day they're going to magically switch to USB-C once all the inventory's out of the way.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, I agree. So definitely interesting to take a look at. I'd like to know what your thoughts are about this. Send me some email feedback at intouchwithios.com. Should Apple finally be getting rid of this Lightning connector, because it's just not it's getting old. I think it's time to finally retire it. We had the 30-pin connector. We went to Lightning, so that didn't take too long after that. Once that finally disappeared, once the iPod was discontinued. So, yeah, I think within the next maybe 2 years, will probably be at the tops. We'll probably be talking about this again, and all the iPads will, from what they're rumoring anyway, that they're going to go to USB-C of the newer generation entry level iPad, and then iPhones will start to, as we get to the 16 and the 17 and the 18 model iPhones, then we'll probably start seeing where the USB-C will be the dominant connector for the iPhone. We'll just be looking back in history with everything else with Apple, and something that they changed, and laugh about it and said, "Oh yeah, remember that Lightning connector? Oh, we don't use that anymore."
Yeah, the Lightning connector, it was such a big improvement.
Oh, of course.
Like light years ahead when it came out.
Yeah.
And I get why it was time to move on multiple levels for Apple. But yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't already done the transition with at least more of the accessories. And Ben, I'm sure you're right. They have inventory to work through, and my guess in many cases, it's not the inventory that's already assembled. It's pre-purchases on components, and so they have to work through the rest of that before they move on to USB-C connectors.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, we've come to a close for another episode here. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Mastodon at intouchwithios at techhangout.social. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We'd really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we are live streaming, which is on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios, where you can watch the current and past live streams, as well as listen to the past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discuss are flipped into the magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to our show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65. And Jeff Gamet, thank you as always for being here. Where can people find you?
Well, thank you as always for letting me join you. You can find me on social medias as Jay Gamet, and I am most active on Mastodon, Instagram, and working on Threads. For shows, most Tuesdays, Chuck Joyner lets me join in on Mac Voices Live. Then here we are on Thursdays, Dave. So thank you for letting me join in on In Touch with iOS. Then for the British Tech Network on Thursdays, The Big Show. Then on Fridays, The Mac Show. And Brian Chaffin and I record The Context Machine too.
Excellent. Thank you. And Ben Rathik, where can people find you? Thanks for being here.
Well, you can find me at Ben Rathig on the social medias. Rathig.tech for my website. I have a brand new article out there about the new ARM chips coming next year to PCs. And for where you can find me on shows, just take the context machine out of what Jeff just said.
That's fair. Yeah. Ben, it's a treat that I get to spend so much time with you every week.
Same here. Same here. All right. And thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show and watching. And until next time, we'll talk again soon. And hi everybody in the chat. I've missed you guys. Sorry, I was looking when I was closing out, but how you doing, Webb? Good to see you. And Brett, that was a good point about the Lightning port on the Mac. Peripherals is really seems like a not big of a deal to you. Okay. You buy them once and you get the one cable and you use it until you're getting a new Mac. Okay.
I mean, that's true. However, at this point, the transition phase of needing to have a lightning cable and USB-C cable, it feels like we should have worked through that transition.
Yeah.
But I mean, if everything that you're using falls into the lightning port ecosystem, then it's no big deal. It's just when you start having that transition, like right now, keeping track of what I plug lightning into and USB into, it, especially when the ports look basically the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
And look at AirPods. I have the lightning and then I have the USB-C. So
yeah. If these are the problems that we have to deal with, we're actually doing pretty well.
Yep. Agree. I'm not sure about Web talk about ADB2. What is
that? Web, I love you for that. Dave, that was before your time with Apple.
Yes, Apple Desktop Bus. That was how mice, and keyboards used to connect.
Right. Yeah, wasn't it that round one?
Yes.
Yeah, it looked a lot like a
cable.
Yeah, it looked like a lot like a serial port with less pins.
That's okay. I was clearing out some stuff from the wife's friend that passed away, and I started pulling through cables, and she wanted me to sort through her widow wanted me to sort through all the cables, and I start pulling things out, and there I find a parallel cable.
Wow.
It's like, oh my God, this is from like a million years ago. So I remember those big giant parallel cables we plugged into printers.
Right. When bits went through as individual pieces of stone. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I actually just found a parallel to USB adapter.
Oh my gosh. Trying to get those old printers to work.
Yeah, which is the funny thing, because back in Macs never had parallel ports. Well, PowerPC or Power Computing clones did, but so you typically could not use a PC printer on a Mac.
Right.
Well, with those parallel to USB adapters, you started to get the drivers where you could use the PC printers on the Mac.
Nice.
Yeah.
But guys, I gotta get going promptly here.
No problem. We'll say goodbye to the live stream. Bye everybody on the live stream.
Bye live stream.